So an example the points that we put on there lie exactly on one single line. Often, however, there's no single line that passes through all the points perfectly in a data set. So in such cases, we find something called the best fit line. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as best fitting line or line of best fit. All of them kind of mean the same thing. So it's a line that lies as close as possible to all of your data points. So let's take a look at an example. So the table shows the number of female physicians in the United States for the years 1992 through 1999. So we're going to have to approximate some of these in terms of where they are on the graph. That'll be all right. So in 1992, so 0 years after 1992, there are 110. So we're going to do halfway between 100 and 120. After 1 year, so 1 year after 1992, there are 117. So we're going to put it closer to 120. At 2 years, there's 125, so halfway between 120 and 130. At 3 years, there's 140, which is nice. That falls exactly on a point. At, let's see, where'd I go? At 4 years, we're at 148, so getting kind of close to 150. At 5 years, we're at 158, so closer to 160. At 6 years, we're at 168, so close to 170. And at 7 years, we're at 177, so kind of close to 180. Now, you can kind of see these lines, and this graph's not a perfect graph either, but the dots kind of jump all over. There's no like one perfect line. So what we're going to do instead is kind of graph our line that seems to fit or seems to get really, really close to a lot of these. So I'm going to graph a line that kind of goes through, make sure it goes to that first point and that last point or close to it. That's a pretty good line. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Now, we're going to start off at that point down here where we're at 110. Sorry, 0, 110. My apologies, I was thinking after 1 year. And we're going to go over to the end here, which, yeah, that point's not exactly the same as our point, but it's pretty darn close. So we're going to call it 175. So we're going to see if we can come up with an equation based off of these two numbers. Now, the thing about line of best fits is, especially when we're doing these by hand, they might not be perfect and they might not match. So if your graph doesn't end up falling through those 2 points that I have exactly, like if they're not the exact same as mine, that's okay. We're still going to use these points for now to see if we can come up with a good slope. So for our line of best fit, we're going to do slope, again, change in y divided by change in x. So for our y values, we had 175 minus 110 to figure out how much we went up by. And let's see, our final x value was 7 minus 0. So 175 minus 110, we get 65 over 7. 65 divided by 7, you know that doesn't give us a perfect number, but we're going to say it's 9 and 2/7. Oops. So about 9 and 2/7 is our slope. The y-intercept, again, where our graph crosses the y-axis, that's just at 110. So for our equation, y equals mx plus b, we're going to use y equals 9 and 2/7, or honestly, we can probably just leave it as 65/7, x plus our y-intercept of 110. So that's the equation we're going to use. Now the second part it says predict the number of female physicians in 2005. Oops, sorry, scrolled too far. So in 2005, so that was part A we just did there. In 2005, how many years after 1992 is that? So we got 2005 is 13 years after 1992. So that means we're going to plug in x equals 13. So we're going to do y equals, I'm still going to stick with 65 over 7, and our x, now we're going to use is 13. Still using the same y-intercept, we're going to have plus 110. Plugging this into your calculator, you got 65 divided by 7 times 13 plus 110. Now, we're going to have to approximate this and kind of round it because you can't have decimal positions. Because we end up with 230.71. We're going to say that's about 231. Now remember, we're asked this question in a sentence, so we should answer it in a sentence. So we should say there will be 231 female physicians in 2005. Now, is that going to be a perfect? Are we guaranteed to have 231? Now, remember, this is in thousands, so 231,000. Should add a couple zeros there. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a pretty good approximation. There might be a few more, there might be a few less, but it's probably, or maybe even a few thousand, but it's going to be around 231,000 female physicians in 2005.